Alright then, so now we have Webpack set up. The next thing we need to do is create a new Firebase project. So go to your Firebase console at console.firebase.google.com, and then we want to add in a new project, and we need to give this a name. I'm going to call it Firebase 9 Dojo. You can call it what you want, it really doesn't matter. So I'm going to click on continue. We don't need analytics, so just click on create project. Alright, and then click on continue to go to the project dashboard. Now when we create a new Firebase project, we have to make a new front-end application for the project as well. This is the dashboard where we can control the back end, but we need to register a front end, our application. Now we can have different types of applications. We're going to have a web app, so click on this right here, give it a name. Really doesn't matter what it is. Again, I'm going to call it Firebase 9 Dojo website, something like that. We don't need to set up hosting, register the application first of all. Then it's telling us what we need to do next. Now all we want to do for now is just go down to continue to console, because we're going to grab this code from somewhere else. So click on continue to console, and now we can see this new app that we've just created. So this represents the front end application, our website if you like, that's going to connect to this backend, this Firebase project. So click on the cog for this to go to the settings, and then if we scroll down, we want to grab the config object. So click on config right here, and you want to copy this object. Now this config object contains information about our Firebase project, and we need to use it on our front end so that the front end website can connect to our Firebase project and interact with it. So copy that. Alright, and then back in our project, inside the index.js file, I'm going to get rid of this console log right here, and instead I'm going to paste in this new Firebase config object. Alright, so we have this config object, but it's not really doing much at the minute, and we need to basically connect to the Firebase project on the back end from the front end using this object right here. Now the first step in doing that is to install Firebase. So I'm going to open up my terminal again. We still have Webpack running inside this terminal. I'm going to click on this one to open a new one. And then over here, we need to install Firebase. So I'm going to say npm install Firebase like so. And this should install the latest version of Firebase, version 9 in our case. Alright then, so now that Firebase package is installed, we can go ahead and use it to connect to the Firebase backend along with our Firebase config object. Now before I show you how to do this using version 9, which is what we've installed, I just want to remind you how we did this using a previous version, like version 8 for example. Now to do that, we would have said import Firebase from Firebase/app. Now this Firebase/app is the core part of the Firebase library, and this Firebase object that we import will contain a load of different methods that we would use to basically connect to Firebase and initialize different services. So if I wanted to initialize the app or the connection to the Firebase backend, I would say Firebase and then use a method on that Firebase object called initialize app. Like so, and then we would pass in the Firebase config object so it knows what project to connect to. Alright, so we'd use a method on the Firebase object. Now in version 9 we don't do this, we just import the functions that we need to use from the library. So in our case, the function we need to use is this initialize app. So we will get rid of this Firebase thing right here, and instead we will just import a single function from this library, and that is initialize app like so. And then we don't need to call that method on the Firebase object, we just invoke the function that we import right here. And now that connects us to our Firebase backend using this Firebase config so it knows which project to connect to. And that's all there is to it. So there's your first kind of glance into how we're using these different functions from the Firebase library. Next up, I'm going to show you how we can set up a Firestore database, connect to it, and then get data from it.